Hello, welcome to Film Independent Presents, our virtual edition. I'm Kate Mason with Film Independent. Before we get started with today's very exciting Q&A, I have to give some praise to our supporters. I want to thank our incredible lead sponsor, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and our screening partner, Vision Media. And with that, let's get into it. I'm so excited to introduce our moderator, SiriusXM host and comedian, Dean Obeildallah. Welcome.
Thanks very much, Kate. So right now, very happy to be here. And also, it's a thrill to introduce my friend, the co-creator, executive producer, and star of Mo, who plays Mo Najjar, Mo Amer. Mo, good to see you, my friend. Congratulations on the series.
Thank you, brother, man. Good to see you, man. Looking sharp. I got this homeless chic look, you know what I mean? And you got this, you're representing me in a court of law. I don't know what's happening.
Well, I am a lawyer by training, so that's sort of how this works out here. So perhaps, we can enter a plea and go from there. But hey, my friend, look,
Love you, brother.
I've known you for years. And the one thing when I think of you, I think about your hustle. Like I think about you at events where I was performing as well, Mo coming in and then flying out. I have to leave in an hour because I'm flying to another gig, or I'm doing 2 gigs, or I'm trying to record a documentary about this travel I'm doing in Jordan when we're in Jordan. And when I watch the series Mo, that jumps out at me. Like you've captured not just your hustle, but like the hustle of my immigrant dad, who's also Palestinian. How much was that important to you to get that across to people that the life of an immigrant is constant hustle?
Yeah, I think it was a natural theme to like step into. It wasn't even like, should we do it or should we not do it? It was just, like you said, it was a part of my life. And for so many years, I didn't even have a passport. So the countries that I would tour and do stand-up in, sometimes I wasn't even supposed to be in, but I'd find loopholes to get there. I would, figure it out. If I was touring Europe, I would have to fly into Germany. And because the Schengen law was in place, I could go to other countries domestically, travel to them while, finding this loophole. So it was just like my entire life has been that way. And I feel like, it's like the mentality immigrant has, like you have to outwork everybody. And that's what I was told. You got to be the funniest. You got to work harder than everyone. You got to be, you just have to be that guy. And it just is the natural thing to step into. I don't know what else to say other than that. It's
when you say
simple
like,
to go into that.
Right. When you said like you were told you have to work harder than anyone, was that like a voice inside of you, or was that someone? And what I mean by that is my dad was an immigrant, would tell me you have to work hard. My mom, who's Sicilian, would tell me you have to go after what you want and take it. Right. So that was called shoplifting, but still, but the two of them merged together. But literally my dad, it's not just immigrant work ethic. He would tell me, I've come to this country, I'm working hard for you and your family. You have to work hard as well. And he would actually say it. Did you hear it, or was it more like implicit in the way watching your family work really hard?
It's both. I think a little bit of both. But I also noticed the landscape of entertainment and stand-up, and I realized like you can't just wait, you just can't wait. If you're waiting on someone to give something to you, and then that really parlays into life as well. It's not just in entertainment and any kind of job that you're pursuing or anything that's this big of a dream. For sure, you can't just sit there and be like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they giving it to me? Like, you can't do it. You don't have time to whine. Like, you have to like push and outwork everybody. And and that's something that was like I pursued really aggressively, and I would tour like a madman. I would tour like a madman, like you said, and I've worked 50 countries at this point doing stand-up comedy and what I love. And I did 25 of those countries without a passport. And so many people told me I can't go, you can't make it. Why would you go there? Why would you put yourself through it? And it was just something that had to be done. And I noticed that very quickly that to also get noticed and to make progress, and that's how I made these like really, I work with my heroes now because of that hard work, because that I've been able to step into it that way.
And when you mention putting yourself in difficult positions, your series Mo is really sums up so much of what you're about. In each episode, it's like, what's going to happen now? And people have seen some of the episodes, and how are you going to get out of it is the question I ask as watching. But to take a big step back though, and again, this is personal, but being a Palestinian heritage and seeing a Palestinian family that you've presented is unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. And it's something I've wanted to see. And it's something people in our community, it's so resonated deeply with them. How important when you were making this, was it to tell your story, but also to tell the Palestinian American story?
Yeah, it was really, really important to humanize a Middle Eastern, specifically Palestinian family, while also showcasing a Christian Palestinian character as well,
Mhm.
was very, very important because I think they're just forgotten in all this, which is really not, something that really breaks my heart because they do exist and people forget about this. So it was very important to do so. But also like the universality of the family as well is crucial. I always think of like FUBU was like for us by us, but this was like for us for everyone.
Mhm.
It's not, it was intended to be like the vehicle as a Palestinian family, but delivered a message of like struggle, of wanting to belong, wanting to be seen, feel represented, the fish out of water element of it all. And finally, like, it was always like shocking for people to realize you've been in the country so long, but you still don't have citizenship because you're so American and you pay taxes. So
Mhm.
just to deliver that through the family was really, really special. And to bring in some stuff that is like incredibly niche to us, whether it's like olive oil or hummus, but now becoming really global. And I've always seen that. Like this stuff is coming. It's like whatever countries being invaded, and look at that, we export their food right away. Like that's what happens, and the food becomes a big part of the culture. And so that's like it's really important to take ownership of those things and to show the world like, okay, if you're going to consume it, at least consume it like it's supposed to be. And so it was really important, really, really important
It's
and
interesting you say
fun to
that,
do.
right? Because you have the hummus scene when you're in the store and the people have flavored hummus. I live in New York. I bet people think at this point that hummus is like American because it's everywhere. Like, and you're
Everywhere.
trying to reclaim it by going, but this is ours, by the way. Okay, I'm glad you're
Yeah.
enjoying this, but we're the ones that gave it to you. You touch on your immigration status in the show. You talk about going for years, seeking asylum, seeking legal immigration status, which can allow you to work legally and to live your life and to dream. And it took your family in the show a long time. Share a little bit about how it's actually inspired by your own family and your own trials and tribulations here in America, where you guys' family came here from Kuwait just to get some legal citizenship status.
Yeah, so it took us a long time. It took me 20 years almost to get my citizenship in my real life. And people think like when you come here as a asylee or a refugee, it happens really quickly when it doesn't. Unless you get married, unless you get married, and most of them are not real, right? And you fake out the system or whatnot. It's just that's the only way to get through it. It's like the system is set up for you to do illegal shit. That's the way it is. It's like they want you to be legal and you want me to be so perfect, but the way it's set up, it pushes you to your moral limits,
Mhm.
and it's really, really hard. It took my mother almost 21 years. It took me 20, it took my brother 20. And say everything even goes perfectly in your asylee process, okay? You get your asylum granted,
Right.
great. You get a court case like rapidly in some miracle. You get it granted. You have to wait 5 years before you get your green card. Once you get your green card, you got to wait another 4 years and 9 months before you can apply for your citizenship. So you're talking about 10 years if everything just goes perfectly, which it doesn't, because the
Right.
immigration system is a mess and it puts you in situations that are very difficult. It's really unfair, while you're, being upstanding citizens and taking care of the things you need to. While it's really sad for people who are a lot older, at least I was young, and was even then it was like unfair. You can't go back and visit your family. You can't go back to any locations that you're seeking asylum from because you just can't while you're waiting for your citizenship. It's just not a good look. And
No.
so imagine all the years apart from your family. At least now you have FaceTime, you're able to like communicate with them, but imagine not able to like see their face. For my mom wasn't able to go back to the place where she was born 37 years.
It's as a lawyer, it's confusing. I mean, I don't practice law anymore, thankfully, but even as a lawyer, you read about this and you're like, how unjust and unfair. There's something else that's unjust and unfair that you portray. I think people have heard about it in the news, but I've never seen it in a scripted show. And that is how undocumented immigrants or people of this kind of uncertain status are preyed upon by American citizens, because you can't go to the police and they know that. And that comes up. Why was that important? Because share a little bit about how that was depicted in the show, and does it match up with your own experience?
Yeah, no, it does, because you were just afraid of how things could look, and anything that goes on your record could harm your status forever. Like, it could be one little word on a police report that could be taken in some way, and then you're ruined. Like, literally your whole life is ruined. So it's very, very important to stay out of trouble. You can't get, if you get a traffic ticket, it could go against you. Anything, any little mishap could ruin your chances of getting citizenship. And with us being stateless, being, not having a country, you could get deported under your own recognizance, which means like you're effectively deported for the rest of your life until you'd have to be like essentially then forced to marry. That's the only way you can get out of it.
It's a remarkable thing. And by the way, people know it's funny too with the show. I mean, we're talking about like,
yeah, it's hilarious. This is what happens every time. My interviews get so serious because of the subject matter.
Well,
But
people watch the first few episodes before they've watched this. At least you should have.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, go back and watch them and come back. But that you'll see it's a comedy. But you rate also the other part, you intersect so well with other immigrant communities. It's not like, my dad was an immigrant here, and immigrants I know, they tend to intersect with other immigrant communities because you're sharing a similar journey. In your case, it has to do a lot with the Spanish community, and you hear the Latino community, and your girlfriend is Latina, and you hear Spanish, we hear Arabic, we hear English, which is so much the soundtrack of the immigrant community. You hear different languages. How important was that? And was that based on reality that your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Sure, I know that.
Well,
I know.
no. It's definitely based off of like reality. Like, so Houston itself, though, Alief, the suburb I grew up in, where most of the show takes place, has 90 languages spoken in it. That's why, like, 90 languages. It's the most diverse city in America, and we wanted it. I really, really wanted it to be like a character within the show itself, and the only way to show that authentically is to code switch pretty regularly and from language to language. And my best friend in the show, Toby Nwegwe, who's, Nigerian and blowing up as a rapper right now, just like killing it. But he, there's a huge Nigerian population here in Houston as well. I would say that Hakeem Olajuwon is directly the reason for it, of why we had so many Nigerians move to Houston. But it's just like it's a real reflection of what it's like to grow up in Houston, how big of a city is, yet so, one of the nicknames is H-Town. It really does feel like a small town vibe with one of the most diverse populations in America. Crazy.
And it's also interesting when you talk about Houston, like there's love in your voice and in the show. And here you are, you're an immigrant, your family is Palestinian via Kuwait, you come here. But I think the love you have that we see in Houston is so much of the immigrant experience. You still love the country, your origin, but you grow to love America. And how important was that for people to see, even though it was subtle? At no point did you like, here's a tutorial on immigrants.
Yeah.
You love your new city, but of course you still love your Palestinian roots and where you're from.
Yeah, I think like, how can you love yourself if you don't know where you come from? Like how I really believe that. Like, you have to keep those ties, and everybody does that. Everybody pretends like it's just like an Arab thing or you like a non-white thing to do so. But white people love where they come from too. You got St. Patty's Day. You got all kinds of it's all kinds of songs and chants that exist historically for them. So it's like I think it's natural to want to know where you come from and have ties with it and love it, and simultaneously loving where you're from. I am an American. I am of a deep gratitude for Houston, the city that adopted only me, but my family, and it's treated me so well, and loves me and lifts me. I'm a Texan, like I support that. I'm a Southerner. I'm proud of that. Like I have a deep sense of pride for all these things, and I also feel like there's a lot of parallels there in the folk music. We have, as Palestinians, we have folk music. We have old timey music that we attach to these great stories, and so do Southerners. There's bluegrass, deeply painful blues music that I also resonate with as well. So it's just like there's these great parallels that I think get ignored, which I don't think is right. I think there's a deep connection. So I love that I grew up in the South. I love that I grew up in Houston. And I'm very, very proud of that. And I also, Houston has never had a narrative sitcom filmed in it ever, which is my way of giving Houston its flowers. And we've created so much revenue here in Houston because of the show. I'm so excited about that and thrilled to be a contributing part of that. Like it's huge. It's huge.
You're amazingly hyphenated when you think about it. You're not just like Arab American, you're Palestinian Arab American, you're Houston American, you're section, you're a Southern American. You have a lot going on. And again, it's unique.
Damn
it's
right.
Yeah, exactly. And you're proud of it. The word you said in the answer strikes me and resonates with me. And I don't think a lot of Americans, and I say this truthfully, that aren't immigrants or children of immigrants get it. And that word was gratitude. I have so much gratitude. This country gave my father a chance to come here, and gratitude that they let my Sicilian grandparents come to this country before that. So I'm very protective of the American dream. I'm very protective of what this nation is supposed to be, and protective in the sense of fighting against bigotry and hate. I mean, do you feel that when you're about gratitude? Is that part of it?
Of course. Yeah, I feel all of that. I feel like it's you didn't know what you were in for when you first moved to America. I was 9 years old, uprooted pretty quickly from a life that was really spectacular and normal, and family all around us, to just being in Houston, and then a day later Halloween happens and nobody explains it to you, and you're like, where the fuck did I move to? You know what I mean? Like, you're like, what happened? But then very quickly you realize like how special and unique this place is, and the opportunity that it can get you. I mean, look at all the things that had to happen for me to achieve what I've achieved, like the war, like multiple fleeing of wars and situations that happened before I was even born. Then I'm born, and then the Gulf War happens 9 years later. You move to Houston, Texas, and a little kid sees stand-up comedy for the first time at 10 years old, realizes that's what he wants to do. 4 years later, he's doing it. His father dies, goes on this journey. No, so many no's in front of me. No, 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 no is all I hear. You can't do it. Impossible. No way. But the city supports me. The people are there. I love it. I tour. Get a mentor, one of the best mentors to do stand up truly in Houston. Danny Martinez puts me on his wings, teaches me everything, releases me into the world. I start touring, and the rest is history. Like that is the American dream. That is like truly what it is. Believing in yourself, understanding that there is no limits, and you have to outwork anybody because it's all about the hustle. Whether you're an immigrant or not, you're going to have to hustle very, very hard to truly get to your goal. Nobody's going to give it to you. You have to earn it. And there you go. And it's, I have a lot of gratitude as well for how long the journey has been. I was always raised on like fast rise, fast fall. So I'm very grateful to have like all this time and experience, because this show, came out exactly when it was supposed to. I believe it is timely, and I believe it is timeless. It lives on, and you don't have to be an Arab to relate to it. You can be anybody. You can be anybody, like literally anyone who's struggled to fit in, somebody who hustles every day, living to paycheck, that really is trying to make it and just achieve their dream while trying to maintain their spirituality and their family wellness, and maybe not working. It's just not working, no matter how hard they do it. So
And
it's not.
you mentioned that you have to hustle regardless if you're born here or an immigrant. And I think that's the difference. I think for children of immigrants or immigrants, you expect it to be a hustle. And I think there are certain Americans, and we can call them, we know who they are, that they think it should be handed to them. And it's not. If you come in that mindset, you'll be disappointed. You realize to be a challenge. You mentioned, before we wrap up here, you mentioned your father passed away in real life, and that shows up in the show here. Do you think back on your father now and how he would see this and see this TV show?
Every day. That's it. I can't talk about it.
Okay, I understand, my friend.
It rips me apart. It rips you apart. I think about it all the time.
It's great, but it's a beautiful tribute to him in the show. And as someone who lost my father years ago, I understand we're gonna have like two emotional comedians here, which people don't understand. It's not pretty, folks. And last thing, that people only watch the first 2 episodes. What would you tell them? Why they should go watch the rest of it on that? It's only like 5 more episodes. I think it's a great series, but what would you say to them, Mo?
No, so the show's the show's intentionally shot in 2 parts. Like it's like a 2-part movie. So the first 4 episodes have serve a particular purpose, and the last 4 episodes have another purpose. So you're definitely missing out if you just watch the first part of the movie and don't finish the second half. Like, it's ridiculous. Everything comes together. The 5, 6, 7, 8 will fly by like. You'll be upset how fast it flies by. It just like everything has a particular purpose. Every sound, every piece of music, everything has a purpose when it's moving forward. And you'll need to watch it again to catch everything, truly, because there's so many little hidden gems throughout the series. And episode 7 truly brings it all back. You really start understanding everything with the flashback in episode 5, and then what happens in episode 7. 6 is I love the closing. The 5 through 8 is crazy. I love it.
Big cliffhanger, and you know it goes in directions people are not going to expect, but it's true to you the whole time. And it's Mo. And it's again, Mo. You can watch it on Netflix right now. In fact, when you stop watching this, go watch the rest of Mo. Mo, congratulations on the critical acclaim. It's a heartwarming, beautiful, and funny series, and I can't recommend enough for people. It was great chatting with you here today.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, brother. Nice chatting.
Thank you, Dave.
Take care.
Thank you, man. Much love, man. Thank you, brother.